Welcome to another book talk, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about Rule of the Aurora King by Nisha J. Tuli. This is book 2 of the Artifacts of Uranus, and there is so much I have to say about this book. First, let's start with the rating. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. And now with the rating, because I need to talk about this book, let's get into the actual spoilery part. So as per usual, if you don't want to get spoiled, this is where I suggest you stop watching. Otherwise, let's get into this, shall we? You guys, I am so happy that I continued reading this series because the more I dive into it, the more I am just falling. I am obsessed with this series right now. And the characters, can we talk about Nadir for a second? Because that man, I was messaging my friend who actually was the one that told me, she didn't ask me, she literally told me to read the series, and thank goodness that I did. I messaged her and she says, that man can yearn. And boy, was she right, because that man can yearn. Takes my breath away. My goodness. That whole ballroom scene first had my heart racing because I was terrified. I was terrified that the Aurora King was going to know who she was. I'm surprised it just shows you how much of a high horse he's on that he doesn't recognize his own prisoner. A prisoner that he tortured, apparently. So, excuse me, that you, gosh, more reasons to hate that man because unfathomable. Oh my goodness. We got introduced to new characters in this one. I'm curious to see what those characters are going to lead to because they're very interesting. Nadir's right hand man. And then we've got Helene, I think is what that's her name. Question mark. I'm always terrible with names. I'll fill in the names. But Nadir's right hand man. I can't wait to hear their backstory. I can't wait to hear more about him because I'm very curious to see how they, like, we know that they were in the army together. Like, how much, I just want to know more about their bond. He seems to really value his opinion and value, they joke around it a lot, but they seem to care about each other a lot, and that was really heartwarming to see. The other thing that was also really the other person, the female one, such a badass. We always have to have that badass. It was amazing having that character in there. Having more badass females. I think the females might actually outnumber the males, and that's really cool. But okay, trying to reel it back in, let's talk about Nadir and Lore's relationship, or lack of, because she refuses to admit that she has feelings for this man, or she does, but she's afraid. And I can't even blame her. First of all, Nadir's father is the person who hurt her incredibly deeply to start with. And then we have Atlas, who once again is, and I mentioned this in the last review, but he also hurt her pretty deeply, and she's having a really hard time recovering from that. She doesn't want to fall for another person and have it be another Atlas, and I can understand that completely. And another thing I really, really want to touch on, because this is something that irks me in a lot of books. For example, with the Plated Prisoner series, I hated this aspect of the female character and the fae nature so much that I think Nisha wrote it really well in this book. So let's talk about that. And it's the fact that fae nature is males are very possessive. And it's not just in this book, it's just throughout all of romantasy books that have fae in them, that they're just very possessive males. And okay, I get that, and to some extent It's cute, it's sexy, it's hot to see the man get kind of jealous, but it's not very attractive when they start to get really possessive. And I think that I talked a little bit about this in my plated series reviews, is that one of the things I really hated is just how animalistic everything got, especially when it got into the really sexy parts. I hated that he was incredibly possessive and like growl. I don't know. I don't like that possessiveness, and it's just very unattractive. And anytime Nadir started to present that possessiveness, Lore pulled back and she put him in his place a little, well, not enough, like she could have spoken up a little bit more. I think, well, no, she did towards the end of the book, because of that whole scene where he started saying she was his. Was that this book? I believe so, yes. Sorry, I'm starting to get myself a little bit mixed up right now, because I've already started the third book. But when he called her mine, it made her pull away. And not just because of the whole Atlas situation, but because of how possessive that is. And I think it's really important to touch on that and to really talk about that, because we don't talk about that enough. And I know this is a book and I know it's romantasy, but I think it's something that it's just one of those icks that I get in a lot of these books, a lot of these romantasy books, is just how possessive they get and how the girl just goes for it or goes along with it. And I'm just, ew. No, I don't care that it's fantasy. It just pulls me out of the book. But for Laura to stand up for herself, it was really great to see that. Yes, they are mated, and I know that they're mated, especially because of the parallels with her, Nadir, and then Circe, which we'll get into Circe in a moment. But Circe and his name just slipped me. Of course it did. The woodland king person. Yeah, him. Obviously, they're mates. They're gonna be mates. You can't tell me that they're not mates. They're fated mates, and technically they are each other's person, but it's still, they tend to get carried away with that. Just because they're fated, they get carried away with the male possessiveness, and it gets a little icky. So all of that to say, I really liked how Nisha portrayed that in these books, and how we had Lore stand up for herself and put her foot down for that, because yes, go girl, stick it to the man. Moving into Circe, the way that I had a love-hate relationship with that woman, because I I didn't like the mom. I didn't always agree with what the mom had to say, especially pushing Circe into trying to wed Atlas. Thank God that didn't happen. But just let them be who they want to be with. Jesus. But then Circe kind of screwed that up and went and destroyed the world anyways. So, yeah, that's just, I wanted to like her, and there are aspects of her that I liked, and I think she could have been a phenomenal ruler, and I think she could have really done better if it was a combination of the mom not really listening to her daughter, but then her also being so entitled that she just went ahead and did what she wanted anyways, and then nearly destroyed the world. So great. But yeah, that was interesting to see all of that, to see the parallel of everything, and to finally find out what happened in Heart, and why so the animosity towards Heart in ways. So I feel like I'm still a little bit lost. Like, I feel like I'm a little lost in Circe's story still, a little bit, even at the end. But I hope to see a little bit more of that in the next book. I've like I said, I've already started the third one already. That is a train wreck. We'll see. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I thoroughly enjoy the romance aspect of this book. Just how the tension is beautiful. The tension between Nadir and Lore, phenomenal. And again, that man can yearn. Lord, can he yearn. So Definitely excited to continue this series. Always scared, but excited because I have fallen in love with this series completely at this point. So, what are some of your thoughts, comments, concerns? Is anybody disappointed for the lack of sexy time? I was a little bit, not gonna lie, but also understand why it didn't fall through. And that end, oh my god, the ending, the Aurora King really being the biggest cock block here, isn't he? I know that that's not what they were doing when he showed up, but still. So, yeah, really loved it. Can't wait to finish the series. Gonna be soon when I finish it because I'm just eating this up. But all right, I'm completely out of time, so that's all I have for today. And as per usual, like, comment, whatever you'd like, and I will see you guys in the next one.